Hello, it's Rafael Gutierrez. Welcome to our channel. And as you can tell, I'm still under construction in my place, and there's a lot of really interesting things that have happened. One of the things that I was going to mention is someone asked a question one time on a Facebook post, and I tried to answer. And they made a comment which seemed really interesting, so I asked them about it. The question, they had said that their teacher talked about the law, the biomechanics, and every aspect of martial arts. And one of the things that happens is there is a lot of great people involved in martial arts. I've met some lawyers who know everything about, everything about laws as far as I can tell. I'm sure they'll say that no, there's a lot more that they don't know about it. I've met people who teach kinesiology who are in martial arts. I've talked to physicists, and all of them have something that they can share in martial arts. And so when I heard that this gentleman was able to put in a lot of things in it, I asked a question that we ask in education, which is usually that's great. Where did they get their degree in? Now the reason I asked was just that. Curious to where they got the degree in and how they actually decided to teach certain things versus others, because I will say I teach whole semesters of anatomy, kinesiology, exercise nutritional science, nutrition, and I never can teach everything in one semester. And this is, well, some of these classes are semesters where they spend 5 hours a day, 2 days a week with me, and they're actually considered really hard classes. So when someone is actually testing on it, I usually am kind of curious to, well, where they go to school and how do they decide that that's actually something relevant for their kids to learn. One of the things I know is everyone will teach martial arts based on what they know. As the area of academics that I'm involved in is clinical anatomy, I do tend to teach most of my students, clinical anatomy when they do it. Now, I don't expect other people who don't necessarily know clinical anatomy to teach their students, but it's something I think I can do, so why not? There are some people who know, there are police officers who teach martial arts, and they understand the law. What will get you in trouble, what won't. And they'll probably teach that, and it's stuff that I can't teach. So a lot of times, things happen, and people ask questions, most of the time trying to find out why. Now, there are some people who get offended by these why questions, and it never made any sense to me, because, if someone asks why I think a certain way, I'm willing to answer why. I usually will not give just, I have a doctorate and that's it. I usually try to say, well, based on a certain book, based on a certain experience, based on clinical anatomy, this is actually what we know. And so one of the bad parts is a lot of times when we actually do deal with conversations now, we are using the internet, and sometimes people hear sarcasm that isn't there, and sometimes people don't hear it when it's there. Maybe that's actually the case. Maybe other people were sarcastic to this gentleman, and he felt that I was one of the group of people who was coming after him. And for that's actually one thing that I would actually apologize for. It's, I'm not really trying to question what they know. I'm more interested in is, how do they know this stuff? But, that's actually one of the things that I have noticed is a lot of things are based on the eye of the beholder, I guess, in many ways. I will tell you about, I mentioned this book before, the Okinawan Goju-Ryu Karate. I really love the book, and one of the people who was involved in the book didn't think I'd be interested in it because it's a Goju-Ryu book. And I do a Shirin style. And when I told him, no, I'm really interested in this, he was kind of surprised initially. And the truth is, he is actually one of the people who is well-read in every aspect of martial arts. And so when I started talking to him, it's like, well, yeah, I figured, most people would, but it's mostly written for Goju-Ryu crowd. So that was his audience. Personally, I recommend anyone who's interested in martial arts, look at everything that's written out there. Compare what is there and see if everything makes sense. Sometimes you do get books which come out with ideas where they don't really make sense based on history. But again, it's something that you have to examine for yourself. I'm going to mention one of my other books again, and that's this Off the Rails. And one of the reasons I mentioned it is I had a book signing a couple weeks ago, and it went okay. It didn't go as great as I would have liked, but not as bad as it could have gone. But it's actually, the books is also in that idea. in that it's in the eye of the beholder. Now, what I try to do with this book, Off the Rails, is I wanted to try to show people that you could do traveling within any country, any region, and train with other martial artists. You call them up. Sometimes they charge you a couple bucks. Sometimes they ask you to give them a Starbucks card or something. It's usually if they ask you for a couple bucks, that's fine. If they ask you for a Starbucks, if they don't offer you anything, get them a Starbucks card, and usually they're pretty happy with that. If they won't use it, someone in the dojo will, I'm pretty sure. And so the big thing that I did in Off the Rails was I started in San Diego, and I did a train trip, pretty much stopping every couple hours. And I managed to train with a lot of different styles. And that, which is another thing I highly recommend. One of the things, for those of you who actually read up on martial arts history and legends, you might read something called the Musha Shugyo. And that's actually part of the subtitle that I actually gave this book. If you look closely, it does say a modern Musha Shugyo. And the reason was that I wanted people to see that, you can do a trip where you actually train in martial arts. You don't have to go necessarily to Okinawa, though I recommend, if you are studying Okinawan or Japanese karate, to go to Okinawa to see the culture that's there and see who you could train with who's similar. Now, what I actually did want to talk about is something that I actually wrote, and I really liked what I wrote. It actually came out of a conversation me and my girlfriend had while we were traveling up the one up the coast of California, and that was the ordinary and extraordinary. The ordinary and extraordinary are found in the same place. It is up to the viewer to find the fantasy of it. Now, I will say I am one of the luckiest people I know, and I don't say that because of any other reason, but because I truly do believe I'm one of the luckiest people that I've come across. I live in a beautiful city. I live in a place where, I don't have to worry about people coming after me for anything I say or do yet. And, I'm relatively safe. I also have a lot of opportunities. I actually mentioned my dad and family actually came from Nicaragua to the U.S. My dad did work hard. He reached the American dream and ended up giving me a life that was really great. I have a girlfriend who is amazing. I wake up every day with a smile on my face knowing that I'm going to see her. And, it's just one of the big things. Now, for a lot of people, they look at this and they might be like, well, okay, this is a professor who, he trains in karate. He does these karate martial art vacations. He has a girlfriend he likes, and that's a kind of common life. And that's actually one of the big things that I found with karate is a lot of times it's up to the individual to find the extraordinary. Let's take a look. Let's think of something as simple as one of the basic katas. It could be fugata ich, sanchin, the pinans, any kata or form that you do. And you can look at it, and you can look at it at an elementary level. And it's a common kata. You're going to turn to the left. You're going to step. You're going to turn to the right. You're going to step. You're going to turn to the left. And that's how a lot of people will end up seeing their karate. They won't look for the extraordinary in the martial arts they do. They look at the ordinary, and they miss a lot of the things. Take a look at someone who is amazing at kata, and watch every motion that they do in the kata. Look at how their foot moves a certain way. Look at how their hips move. Look at every inch of their kata, and you start finding certain things that are amazing about it. Now, you will find, actually, even in beginners, sometimes you'll find a beginner and they do kata and they do something slightly different that sometimes you didn't think about. But that slightly different thing that you didn't think about may actually be something extraordinary as you actually look at it. Now, a lot of times we actually get stuck on which is the original kata, which is better, and the truth is, I actually usually tell people, the truth is, if there was one great way to do everything, there would be one way to do anything. There would be just one way for everything. And so that's actually one of the things I hope I can challenge some of you to do is look at your kata training. Don't go for the advanced katas. Look at the most basic kata and try to find what's extraordinary about that kata. What makes it so unique for yourself? Why The founder of your style said, you know, this is the first kata you should learn, and you should train with it every day. And sometimes you might be surprised by some of the katas you do. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. Have a nice day. Any questions, I will answer. Just put them down as comments, and I'll do what I can. Thank you. Have a good day.